Hey, hi there, hi there. This is George, and I know that you enjoyed the stories of George Wachiuri. And we decided to share these stories because sometimes we share stories and we inspire somebody and encourage somebody out there. And every time we meet at 4, and every time I share these stories, I also reflect, The other day I was reflecting on how I did my education when I was younger. And it was not easy. It was very, very tough. I remember going to milk our cows very early in the morning because my late mother was very tough. She was very tough. And we were many boys. We were 6 boys and 1 girl. So every morning at 5:30, tunaamushwa na kiboko. Amkeni! And then if you delay a little bit, the next thing you feel on your body is a whip. So we had a roster whereby most of us, we go to the farm very early in the morning, 5:36, unaenda kulima. And then the 2 remaining, you will milk the cows. So me, I always preferred to milk the cows because as you milk, immediately you boil a cup and drink. And then after doing that, sasa ni kutembea shule. Going to school was a distance. And our school was very interesting because it was the floor was like the earth kind of a thing. And going to school, you are there with other children, you are playing football there, you are happy. In the evening, you go back. As you go back in the evening, you have to go and fetch the water. And you are fetching the water a long distance. I remember going alone in the River Honey. Those who have read my book, River Honey, it was 5 kilometers. Coming back, another 5 kilometers. So when you're coming back in the evening, we could not afford paraffin, paraffin to do the reading. And I discovered that it was not easy. So you only read during the day. Remember, in the morning, you are working. And when I went to class 8, I did not know the importance of education. So I never bothered to work so hard. And what happened? I did my exam and I failed terribly. I totally failed. Kuanguka. So when I failed, I went home and I told my mother the marks I got. And then she was not bothered because she knew I was not working hard. But I remember that the same year I did the exam is the same year that my brother was bought a kind of a trouser. I remember it was a black trouser with white stripes. And I discovered that maybe he was bought this trouser because he went to secondary school. So at night, I was thinking, in the middle of the dark, because we could not afford kerosene. So I was thinking, what can I do to get such kind of a reward? So the mind just popped, pop, go back to school. So I repeated class 8. That year, I remember I I was haunted by the spirit of failing the exam. Because I got very low marks, I won't mention here, very low marks. But this particular I repeated, I said, this time I must pass. And then I started reading. And what I did, I looked for my 2 friends. And every time after 5, we could spare another 1 hour and we were reading. Sometimes reading is not easy. I was not sure whether I was understanding or whether I was getting it. But I kept moving. By the grace of God, I did the exam and I passed. The time I saw that I passed, I was happy, but I had the time to reflect and asking myself, how come the other year I failed terribly? And that particular failure made us rethink, replan. And I want to encourage somebody out there that maybe you have done something and you have failed like George Wachiuri. Personally, I failed. Nilianguka kabisa. And maybe you failed on something. There's still a next time. But there need to be something to activate it. For me, I was activated by my brother. Trouser too really inspired me. And I made a decision to work harder the following year. And by the grace of God, I passed. When I look back at this particular story, I learned 2 things. That every time things are not going on right, you can still reconsider yourself to make things work. Every time that life becomes like a mountain, people laugh at you, unachekelewa, you can still redeem hiyo kicheko, so that it becomes a positive kicheko, And I'm happy that that reflection tells me something, that there is hope for you, there is hope for others, there is hope for all of us. Today's failure doesn't determine your tomorrow's failure. Asanteni sana. Once again, we are here. See you next week. God bless. Asante sana.